Good afternoon on what is a grey, overcast, slightly windy, but mild day. I'm back out in the Nook with some parcels and a nice hot cup of tea. And I am going to delve into this one once again. So I have already dragged out that, or I'd say that. Sorry, I've already dragged out Gathok's Vertical Slum and the Post-Apocalyptic from Sandy Peterson Games. So what else we've got in here? And that we have the Talisanta Sourcebook for the Savage Land, the New Age, published by Kellyson of all people. I've already done. And let's see underneath that. We have this, which is the Umerican Survival Guide, a Gonzo post-apocalyptic campaign setting and sourcebook based on the articles of Crawling Under a Broken Moon. This is a Dungeon Crawl Classics setting, or is compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics for different games, but is published by Shield of Faith Studios and Crawling Under a Broken Moon. So, it's an OSR style campaign setting. Foretold in the ancient calendars, early in the 21st century, a rogue object from deep space hurtled near the Earth and struck the Moon. Its impact caused catastrophic destruction around the globe, ripping the very fabric of time and space itself, yet mankind still survived. Centuries later, the planet is reborn, a strange new place of alien wonder and death, a world ruled by savagery, cruel sorcery, and twisted science. Now is the time for the mighty to rise up and take their place in this perilous and untamed land. Will they bring justice or suffering? Only time will tell. A dozen new or revised character class options, 9 of which are unique to Umerica, Clerics of the Wasteland, the Cyborg, Feral Urchin, Fossorian, Greys, Mutant, Petrolhead, Robot, Scavenger, Technologist, Wasteland Warrior, Wizard of the Wasteland, new piecemeal armor system that incorporates damage resistance, ablatives, and armor degradation, an extensive revised mutation system usable by all characters and creatures, expanded vehicle creation and combat system for all your Petrolheads needs, a pantheon of American gods and patrons, old and new, a comprehensive section on the Citadel of Scrap, a good campaign starting point for exploring Umerica. Dozens of random tables covering aspects of everyday wasteland life, finding salvage, adventure creation, plus much, much more. This product is compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game. Now, actually, what it should be, the first thing I'm going to say, what it should be compatible with is Mutant Crawl Classics, which is the post-apocalyptic role-playing game from Goodman Games, heavily inspired by Gamma One. Nevertheless, because this is compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics, it's also, in the main, compatible with Mutant Crawl Classics. So we open up inside, and we have just the Kickstarter backers, and then we get into, there's the introduction, and it sets the style, and very Mad Max combined with the Gonzo element, which is fine. I mean, because I know many people, in the case of many people's conception of the apocalypse, it's very much influenced by Mad Max, and especially more recently with the release of Mad Max Fury Road. And very quickly we get into the basics of life. So we're talking food and all the needs for survival. Clothing, shelter, travel, communications, all important aspects in the post-apocalyptic setting. And things rolling for things like law and resources, and also law and punishments, of course. and then we get into the Citadel of Scrap, which follows you've got in-character dialogue from the perspective of citizens of the citizens. A citizen of the Citadel of Scrap, coaching newly arrived PCs on the ways to get by in this unique city. So you've got a bit of in-game fiction where you have an actually NPC addressing the player characters and explaining everything. You don't necessarily have to read it all out to your players. You should let them read it, perhaps, or really just it's what it means is that you've got quite an accessible way of introducing the setting to your players. And here we've got the weirdness of the setting. Somebody diving for scrap or something and coming up with something completely inappropriate to their needs. Places to go, things to kill. And here we go beyond the Citadel of Scrap. Interesting, there's no real map. I didn't see a map in here of the Citadel of Scrap. That's a little disappointing. Hopefully there'll be one a bit later. So we go out to the world beyond, the floating Iron Isles, the Isle of Dr. Mammon, the Kingdom of False Gods. The Menfish Pyramid of the Bass Masters. I'm going with Bass since it's fishmen. Everyone now break into a chorus of, I wish I were a fishman, or I wish I were a deep one. Then we've got the Temple Refineries of the Petrolax. So there's where you go to get your petrol for your petrol heads, and then we've got an actual illustration of the Space Needle in ancient Seattle and what's become of it. And then other common knowledge of note, so things like robots and aliens and sorcery, oh my, and radios and television broadcasts and things like that you can use to colour what that is like in the Umerica, and use that to colour your running of it. So Citizens of the Waste, so we've got post-apocalyptic 0-level characters. So basically rolling up basic characters, perhaps all ready to do the traditional character funnel, which you will be familiar from if you've played any Mutant Crawl Classics or Dungeon Crawl Classics. One of the features, of course, is the character funnel, where you play 0-level characters, usually 4 of them, and you put them through the grist of an adventure mill, and the ones that survive gain 10 XP, and they'll have enough to go up to first level and gain some abilities. Other than that, they're on their own. So we have the first character class in there, the Cleric of the Wasteland. And Cyborg, complete with, essentially their abilities there, and more details on the Cyborg. Then we go into the Feral Urchin, which is sort of reminiscent of the Urchin character which I saw in Barbarians of the Ruined Earth, but here again they are drawing heavily upon the Mad Max films, because if you remember back at the beginning of Mad Max 2, there is there's a feral urchin. There's a feral urchin that Mad Max encounters. Here we have the Fossorian. And that urchin essentially is the one that hangs around with Max and sort of like until the very end, and is the one recounting the story. And here's the mutant. Petrolhead, of course, again that's more another inspiration from your Mad Max films. Full details of the character class there. So this is quite encompassing quite a lot of different genres of your post-apocalyptic future. Scavenger. And the other ones we've got, technologist, for the actual person getting down and looking at the technology, and rather than just scavenging it, discovering the glorious technology and knowledge of the past. Wasteland Warrior. And the Wizard of the Wasteland, complete with his Hawaiian shirt. And here's a guide to combat. So we've got new combat rules with using things like shields, standard armour, ablative armour pieces, feeble materials, impervious materials. So you're adding colour and detail in terms of the mechanics. So you just can't go. Armour is no longer just a standard thing that you wear. Yes, I've got a suit of armour, and it never changes. But you can stack armour and it can suffer damage, and you may have to repair it and so on. We've got a new fumble and critical hits table for firearms. Grenades, explosive weapons, firearms crit table. All useful stuff for the genre, because everyone likes a good crit roll and result. And this goes all the way up to firearms crit table V or 5. So lots of those, and then equipment starts there with your list of your common equipment, and that's going to be an extensive section all the way through. And you can see a sort of like a typical weapon there, illustrated. So you've got a shotgun axe. And here we've got the more descriptive of the firearms. Some of them already adapted to the Umerica of the future. And then we've got vehicle combat, travel vehicle combat, complete with wipeout results, and then man versus machine critical results there. So that if you're going to have a petrol head and he's got a vehicle, you're definitely going to have to include vehicle combat in your game. And here we have rules for Vehicular and Manslaughter, and that's a nice combat scene. I think taking on a train, and then different vehicle types. Right up to, so you do have trains in there, so they're ready for you to ride and to raid, protect, and so on. That you have there then, a combination of the post-apocalyptic setting and the Wild West. Then we also have mechs and other robo-droids in there as well for your increased science fiction elements, complete with different designs. So quite comprehensive in this book. You've got Mercurial Magic of the Wastelands, and then there's for your Wizard of the Wasteland type characters. Before we go into particular spells and so on, Grimoire of the Wastes, with spells like Summon Foulness. I hate to think. Earth is a foul place, and the southern city of the people of the sun, Atlant, is perhaps the most famous polluted. Among them are the feared priests of the Filth Eater, able to summon up filth and pollution with their magics. With this spell, the caster summons forth a pool of foul pollutant, causing those on the target to just slip and fall and perhaps suffer ailments from exposure. Curse of Life, Technique, Jinx, and these are all interesting looking spells that one of the great features of essentially Dungeon Crawl Classics, and also Mutant Crawl Classics, Dungeon Crawl Classics with their spells, Mutant Crawl Classics with its mutations. They've got individual tables which you roll on for their effects. Mutations. So it's possible to have suffer mutations as well. You've got a big table of those bestial subtypes there. So quite a lengthy section of tables for your various mutant types. But some of them quite odd. So you have like a weaponization type subtitle, for gas production. So gas production, the mutant can produce prodigious amounts of gas and also gains +2 to save against toxins and poisons. Additional beneficial traits: 30% chance of having 1d4 gas bags on the body, which can be inflated to allow them to float like a hot air balloon for 1d3 for hours at a time. Emit a cloud of gas, but also have uncontrollable flatulence. 30% of and also with a 30% chance of taking double damage from all fire attacks due to being combustible. Then we have Gods and Patrons of Umerica, and these are what you would essentially tackle up with your basically your worshipper using AI programs, or just simple patrons of your gods, like Classica, the goddess of rhythm, order, and culture. Or Elmos, the puppet host of eternal pain and suffering, who is chaotic. I don't think that's quite what Jim Henson Productions has in mind for as a future for Elmo, if they've given it any full thought at all. But it's satire, so. And also the Technos Discos, the terrible bringer of beats. Yes, I inflict you with disco. Yeah, no thanks. And you've got all the spells for those particular patrons. Including, let's have a look, theme music. General patron smells, theme music. A musical accompaniment aids the caster and some allies via a morale bonus fueled by the Synod's attention. A minimum of 1 point of spell bonus required to. Yeah, that's a nice role-playing touch. You know, you decide upon what your theme music is. Let's see what else we've got. Still got quite a lengthy section of Gods and Patrons of Umerica, such as Old Man Mushroom or Coney the Tasty Cone Ice Cream Parlour Mascot God. So Old Man Mushroom, and then Coney the Tasty Coney the Tasty Coney Ice Cream Parlour Mascot God. And then we've got this section for the GM, which is beginning to explore the themes of Umerica and the post-apocalyptic setting, and then we go on to the secrets of the Citadel. Still no map of the Citadel, I have to say. I'm a little bit disappointing about that, but nevertheless. And there's a bit of repetition of artwork as well. But hey, you on everything, and you do have some adventure scenes at the back here. So yeah, that is Umerica, the Umerican Survival Guide. And the Appendices gives you conversion from existing DCC materials and its own Appendix N of inspiration, with various tables as well at the back. And so we'll just show you you've got a character sheet as well, so you've got a complete character sheet there, and that's very thematic, although it might not be necessarily that easy to read, but it's well done. I do like that. So yeah, that's the Umerican Survival Guide for your DCC game, from Crawling Under a Broken Moon and the Shield of Faith Studios, as an alternative to Mutant Claw Classics, or in addition to it, as is your want. I look forward to digging into this and giving it a proper review in due course. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxing in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box and a game which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.